thought you wanted the beautiful sunset.
All right, so about a year ago, we built this little, what we call our mini feedlot here, just to give it a try and see how our hand at selling direct-to-consumer beef would go. And it's been a huge success so far. In the first year, we've sold 44 steers that we finished. Well, we're nearing the end of our first year, so it'll be 44 steers. And that was really about double what I was anticipating us doing, so I'm really glad about that. But do we want to tell them the news now or wait?
I mean, it's official.
Probably in almost a separate video.
Yeah.
And we'll probably come back to that. But things are changing here on the ranch, and we're wanting to expand this side of our operation. So come along with us today as we're going to go and try to pick out a location here on the place where we can add some more pens. I really never thought we would expand much bigger than this, but it's doing better than we had ever anticipated. And to keep up with what we need to do for the future, we're going to have to expand. So,
and I think that, don't you think we kind of were talking about expanding anyways before the change that we're going to talk about later on came about?
Yes.
I mean, the expansion was already in the talks.
So let's just tell the folks. I mean, we'll probably do another video that kind of goes through the whole thing, because y'all are a lot like family to us, not just, people out there. So why are you laughing like that?
I'm not.
She's trying not to cry. So I'll hold the camera so y'all can see her ball like a baby.
Don't.
So most of y'all know, if you've been here very long, that Erika, I call her a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home wife, which she does work from home, but she's been a federal employee for how long?
17 years.
17 years she's worked for the federal government. And she started working out, well, not federal, she started out working for the state of Texas through USDA.
It's all federal government.
Okay, never mind, I don't know what I'm talking about. So,
but I worked in the state.
She worked in the state office first.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, she got sent home like all government employees. And then while she was at home, they opened up a job that was based out of Washington, D.C., but she was hired as a complete remote employee, meaning it wasn't like she got sent home and then now it's time to come back. So with all the stuff going on right now with the current administration saying, hey, we're going to force every one of you to go back to work, that's just not something that we want to do anymore. Where we live now, her closest federal office the office they assigned her to was 50 miles one way from our house. And while I know a lot of folks out there drive further than that to get to work and back every day, and I appreciate that, it's different when you hire on knowing that's what you're going to have to do every day. It's like, okay, I'm willing to make that drive every single day. When you're hired from a different location and they say, hey, now you're going to have to start driving, lose 2 hours of your day driving, wear and tear on your vehicle, all that kind of stuff, it's a little different scenario. And it really doesn't make sense to me or to Erika to drive 50 miles one way to sit at the same computer you're sitting at in our living room, doing the exact same work that you're doing in our living room with the exact same bosses that she has in Washington from our living room, when she doesn't have a direct supervisor or anything like that at the office where they wanted her to go. So long story short, she put in her resignation when they offered that and just said, hey, we're just going to part on good terms rather than, going any other way. So,
yeah.
so that means Erika is now officially a stay-at-home mom. But
it's really real this time.
I mean, I'm not going to disclose with you like what Erika made there. But after 17 years of employment, you were a GS 13. So if if you have any idea, then that'll give you some idea. It's a considerable. I mean, it's a big hit to our family. But if we can grow this side of our operation, we can take over that and overcome that hurdle. And this isn't the first time we've done this. When we bought the dry cleaners.
Yeah.
I was selling cars in town. We owned this place and we were running cattle out here and doing stuff. But, I went from a $100,000 a year plus job to my salary when we bought the cleaners. I set my salary at $40,000 a year. So a pretty big hickey for our family. But we set our finances and we stayed buckled down, and we've made it happen. So one of the good things for us is our cleaners, which we partnered with my cousin on that. We'll have it paid for at the end of this year. So we'll be able to start as partners drawing out money from that we've never done in the past. And, you know, this will just give us more time to focus on, it's kind of like we've had dreams of expanding the ranch and just kind of doing it now. This is going to force us to do it if we want to be able to keep going. So there we go. Now let's have some fun now. So these pens are working great, but we didn't really, when I built these, my plan, here, do you want to film?
Yeah, let me put you in it, because it's cuter when you're in it.
My plan for this was, you know, I thought, well, maybe if we ever have to add on, we can add on over here, like where all the junk's piled up over here against that fence line. But I don't really like that idea, because the waterfall from there, the runoff will come this direction. So if I put a set of feed bunks over there, it would make it tight to turn around here. Plus, when it rains, all the water would run towards the feed bunks instead of away from them like it does here. So my initial thought is that while I love having these pens here and they've worked good for this year, we can always turn this in with just a little bit of work. We can turn this into a sheep feedlot and finish out some lambs in here or do something else. But we need to rethink what we're going to do. So we're going to go drive around tonight with y'all, and we're going to see if we can find a place or two where we think we could expand our feedlot pens. Make something. My dream goal, what I would really love to have, is like a monoslope building with 4 pens in it, and it would take up, its footprint wouldn't be much bigger than what this spot right here is. But it would have a concrete floor with a bed pack, which means you blow in like hay straw or something like that into the pens, and that's what you bed the livestock on. And then that hay would absorb the manure and the urine and stuff, and then just a couple times a year you go in there and scoop that out, put it in a compost pile, and then you take that and spread it as fertilizer. That's what I'd really like to do, but that's a considerably higher investment at this stage of the game. I don't know that I'm willing to spend a couple $100,000 minimum if I built a barn myself, versus like $1 million if I got somebody to come in and build it. So, but look at these. Look at this hoss. Look at that little portly sucker.
Like, they're looking good.
This is no number 43 right here. He's a steer that got his head caught in the fence. He's still doing good. Head swelling's down. So
we better get a move on.
Yeah, let's get a move on.
So we don't lose all our day.
Back here, behind where these steers are, there's a seasonal creek right there. So that just basically rules out doing anything over there, because when we do get some flooding, that whole thing over there, I mean, that water will get up nearly to the back fence on this set of pens is where the water will come up to. So really using anything over there is going to be obsolete. There's no chance of using any expansion over there.
Basically, the only time we use that is if grass grows over there, we can move the sheep over there
we can set some sheep over there.
Which we're about to do. We're about to move some sheep.
What I would really like to use, what my goal would be is, right now we're finishing like 2 sets of steers every 6 months. So they go in here, they feed for 5 to 6 months in here, then they go to slaughter, and the next set comes in right behind them. What I would really like to do is, that means we're trying to market 20 steers all within two days of killing each other. And what I would really, and it limits us, because if somebody calls and says, hey, do you have any beef available now?
Not till whatever.
Not for 4 or 5 months maybe. What I would really like to get to is a point where we have like 10 head a month that are coming out, so that anytime somebody calls, like, yes, I've got an opening either this month or I got one coming out next month, we can get a deposit and get you on the list. So all that to be said is what I would like to do is maybe have this little spot back here as a spot where we can put the next round of calves that are waiting to go into the feedlot. We can put them back there, like with some round bales of hay, or maybe a little bulk feeder that's got not near as hot a ration. And then we can bring them up into these 2 pens and start them, and then move them from here into something a little more where our finishing stages is going to happen. So some of the considerations we're thinking about or looking at as we're doing this is, Number one is availability to water. As most of y'all know, this place doesn't have a well on it. It didn't have a well on it when we bought it. We did, come on Nala. I did get a quote on having a well dug when we built our house 13 years ago. At that time, it was about $25,000 to $30,000 to get to good water, and I couldn't afford that at the time, or I didn't think I could afford it. So we put in city water, what we call city water, which is just rural water, a rural water supply company, and so that's a concern. Is like where we need to be able to get water without having to put in 2 or 3, a few hundred feet of water line or a few thousand feet of water line. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible. Runoff is a big issue. This place, when it gets wet, it gets muddy, and I want it to be able to drain good. I'm not so worried about electricity or any of that kind of stuff right now for these kind of pens. I would like to be able to eventually have it where it's someplace that I could get our squeeze chute and everything set up and make it work good for us there. The other thing is, while it doesn't really, like our little feedlot doesn't smell right now. I mean, when it gets really wet and the wind blows just right, you can get a faint odor of it, and it doesn't bother me. I know it doesn't bother Erica, but
we're used to it though.
We're used to it. I don't think my neighbors, it would bother them. They're country folks, and they're used to that kind of stuff too. I would like to I want to be a good neighbor. I don't want to put, there are a couple of spots like, man, this is where I'd really like to put it, but I don't know if it would be a hindrance to them. So that's something I want to talk to them about. We won't do that on camera, but so let's go look. So like right here, just kind of to give y'all a lay of the land. Behind us is our house. I don't know if Erika can see, if y'all can see the house back there.
Yep.
And we're driving down we've got 3/4 of a mile of dirt road in our place that we built when we built our house. And right here to my left, as we're leaving the house going back towards the lots, my water line, I have a 2-inch water line that Erika and I and my brother laid when we built our house. It goes from my house all the way up to my water meter 3/4 of a mile away. That's at my lots, by my lots. So anywhere along here, we have water that's pretty accessible. Accessible, how would we say that?
Accessible, yep.
Yeah. So right here, I don't want to put one just right in front of the house, because I don't think that would look good. Just pulling up. I still want to have a pretty drive up to our house. I don't want a feedlot right in front of my house. So a couple of spots that I have in mind.
Pepper.
We are gonna run a water line under the road at each of these cattle guards to supply water to the right-hand side of the road. Now, we could do something over here.
He's pointing over here.
But that's really a little more space than we need for what I want to do. And when it does rain, there's a lot of water comes through there. So we'd either have to build it up here higher on the hill, or I don't know. That's not real. I don't really like that spot over there. So the other spot that I really think would be, I've got three spots that I think would be really good, and I'll kind of show y'all the pros and the cons of each one. So right here, we're going to step out. Erika's not liking that because she's got her legs covered up.
I know, because I'm cold.
I told you to put some pants on.
I should have you did not tell me to put pants on.
So I know it doesn't look like it when you look right here, but there's a pretty good fall from where those sheep are coming this way.
Hold on, sheep are, and then coming this way.
And when we get those big rains, 3 and 4 inch rains, I mean, we'll have water run over the top of this road if the ground has been saturated. And I know it doesn't look like that, but I could always go in and maybe, put up a terrace or something to take it down. But right here, one thing I like about this is I've got a water line. It's basically, that water line runs about right here. I think it's about 12 foot off the edge of that road right there, somewhere right in here. We'd just have to dig and find it. But right here, there's a good bit of fall right here, from here to that back fence back there. And part of me says we could go in right here and build some bigger pens than we have down there that put up the interior fences basically with net wire versus pipe, and then just have a pipe front across the front of it with the feed bunks. Then we can just come down our road. We'll just make us a little spur, so to speak, where we come off over here and we can feed this. The only issue with that is if I build here, I do have to contend with the fact that the front sides of these feed bunks would be open to whatever's in this pasture over here, which, if we've got sheep or if we've got other cattle, then we've got to worry about that. And yes, I know the way to fix that would be to come in and just build a fence down here. My issue with that is that's just a bunch more fence that we got to build for no reason other than just to be able to keep cattle, something else from eating on those feed bunks. So I don't really like that, because like if we build a fence right here and we have a road over there, we have feed bunks, well, I'm going to lose 3 or 4 foot between the road and the fence. That's non-grazable for the most part forever, and that's just, I'm just giving away that land. It's not productive. So that's one of the issues I have with this area. And it gets pretty boggy and wet down there on the back side of this. So let's go to the next spot I've got in mind.
You should really put your other headlight in.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're on a pretty good run. It's been about, how long have we had this buggy?
We got this buggy in 23, 24. I think we got it towards the end of 2023, right?
Huh? 23, yeah.
Because
so why put another headlight in now?
Because the red one's 24 model, and we're in 25 now. So we've got that spot. Something else I should keep in mind is eventually I might end up having to worry about, like, hey, you need a retention pond where you're catching that runoff so that it keeps us in compliance with the government, so to speak. So right here is a couple of spots. Now this is a kind of a wasted spot on our place. It doesn't grow much grass. The ground's pretty shelly. You can see all the rocks out there. But if we could come in here some way, build the back of our pens down towards this little water line, this gap right here. This could be a side fence coming up here. We could put a gate in right up here by the cattle guard, and we could have our feed lane right up here in the front. Or we could even put in a couple of more cattle guards where you could just go in, come in, feed, and come out another cattle guard, and you wouldn't have to worry about it. But the downfall of this is it's right next to my neighbor, and I don't want to be that guy. Same thing goes over here. From this fence line, can you see the wire fence? That ground kind of falls off like this from that fence line. This side of the fence kind of comes down towards our tank. That side of the fence falls over towards another little old water line or waterway over there. This part not so much. I don't really like it. Pepper, get out. The water it's not really deep enough to really get to where I want it to be. Although it might be.
You got about 5 minutes before it might be too dark.
It might be too dark. You got more than you think. The spot that's jumping out at me the most right now, even though it's right next to my neighbors, I think if I built my pens big enough that they didn't really get tromped out and stomped out, I don't think odor would be an issue, because I think the pen would be big enough. But right here is kind of where I'm thinking would be a good spot, because I already have an existing fence here that I could utilize. I could come in, somewhere down away from this water trough so that I could still use that water trough for this pasture if I need to. But, maybe go down here to where this post is, and I could build some pens that go from this fence down towards that little waterway down there. And what that would do is I would basically have I would have the outside perimeter fence, and then just over here I could put one little old, gate or something like that, when we could just come in right here, go and turn and go right down there, drive down there and feed, or I might even, depending on the way I lay it out, I might just build a little covered barn down here that I could keep the tractor and the feed mixer under, and then store my hay and stuff down here as well, and make me a spot big enough at the end to turn around and come back and park under. I know it's not super important to have your tractor and your mixer under a shed, but I think it makes it last longer. And just the better care you take of your equipment, the better your equipment takes care of you, kind of deal. So, you know, here, there's probably about not even quite 5 acres right there. If I built me, I might even could build me like 6 pens in there, 3 on each side. That way you could feed in and make you a loop at one end that, you know, have your pens like a cul-de-sac basically, and then make you turn around and then feed on the way out. Then you've just got one little road to maintain. You've already got a back fence. That might be a good way to do that. Good thinking. Glad you thought of that. Probably
I still like the idea. This is like my favorite spot up here. But I know it doesn't I know it has some.
The most logical place to do this, and I'm not always, I like to think I'm a logical guy, but I also I don't like stuff just being junk. But up here at where our lots are, this would be a good spot to add on our feedlot pens, because it gives us the ability to, hey, we've already got our squeeze chute up here, everything's up here, we've got our loadout spots, everything like that. But again, if we get up here and jump out and look, and it could be something as little as just doing a little bit of dirt work and but you know, part of me says, hey, you just need to go down right here. If I went from here to that tree down there, I could get some pretty good size. I could get all the pen spaces I wanted and be able to feed. You know, I might need to add on a barn or something up here to park my tractor under, but that might be the most logical thing. But I've got a neighbor here and there, and I don't want to be the bad guy. So I don't really know what's best.
That's pretty far away.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, you can smell it at the shop when you're in the shop.
Yeah, but that's close.
But they're also, what I'm thinking about doing is increasing the size of the pens to help prevent some of the...
As long as that doesn't decrease the productivity of the...
Right, as long as it doesn't decrease the productivity of our steers. So, you know, this would be wet. We could, but then I run into the same thing. I've got to have a...
road.
Well, I'm going to have to build a road no matter where I go. Yeah. So that's just part of it. You know, I'd have to build some kind of a fence. Like, I wouldn't want to bring big heavyweight steers down this barbed wire fence to bring them to the lots, because it would end up...
Not that one for sure.
Yeah, they'd end up on the neighbors. So, and this is where we do our loading out and everything like that, which I could probably always... I could figure out another way to load out. We wouldn't have to use this, you know, if I wanted to come out here some way and, you know, because I mean, I would want to bring my pens out a lot further. And I mean, I guess I could always do that over here you know, maybe start my pens here where you still got room here to get straightened up and get backed up, and then here we could just have some kind of a, you know, a smaller holding pen or something that goes into the lots. Or but here there's considerable amount of fall from that fence to here, you know, and I don't want my feed bunks standing in water and mud, because that decreases your productivity. But in the same token, there ain't near as much water comes down off of this as what comes down in some of those other places, you know. All right. Well,
lots to think about.
Lots to think about. So, so y'all let us know So the concerns we have are, number one, you want to be able to, we don't have any trees, so shade is not an option for us. We're going to have to either build or buy shades no matter what. So we can either we can use our more shades, bring them up here, or get some more of those and put up. We can build some pipe structures and just put up shade cloths to provide shade in the summer.
Cheaper.
Would be considerably cheaper, but not as good.
Versatile.
Yeah, not as versatile, probably not as good.
Yeah.
We're going to have to build road no matter what we do, and we're going to have to add water. I mean, up here, water it wouldn't be a big issue. We could still,
because we have water in the pens, so we just have to bring it over here.
Tie in some new lines, dig some new lines.
I mean, that's going to be, we're going to have to do that.
No matter where you put it, you're going to have to dig water lines, so that's not that big an issue. The best part about being up here is we'll have our squeeze chute, our hydraulic squeeze chute will be set in here, so it'll be easy. It'll be, that makes the most sense, because it's like, hey, like right now we got to haul them up here to weigh them, haul them back home to put them back in the feedlot. If we could get that up here, or figure out a way to put it down at the house, put the feedlot down at the house somewhere close to the house, and we could go in and redo our barn, take out all of our horse stalls and stuff, because the kids aren't rodeoing anymore.
You only have 2 years and Bubba's showing. Is he going to show goats? What did he tell you the other day?
He don't know. He says he wants to, but I mean, we could always set up a small goat pen somewhere. That's not that big a deal, but we could, we could probably redo some stuff around the barn, our barn there, and fix it where we could put our hydraulic squeeze chute in there, and it's just not really set up. The pins aren't set up right there. We'd have to redo all the pins, which that's not that big a deal either, because we're going to be redoing them anyhow, or building new ones anyway. So just lots of stuff to think about. What concerns would you have if you were building a new little feedlot expansion?
This is the kind of thing, tell me if this is what y'all do. This is the kind of thing we do every time we drive around our places. Well, what if we did it here? What if we did it there? And it's just a long process of...
Because this is a big expenditure. I mean, it's going to cost us...
And it's your place. This is our home place. Like, we don't want to build something and not want it there.
That's like the whole monoslope building is, man, I'd love to build that. And if, I kind of have an idea, I'd kind of want to build at that second spot I showed y'all, kind of by the tank there where those metal feed troughs are. But what happens in 5 years if for some reason it doesn't work, or you're tired of it and you don't want to do it anymore? Now you've got a, $500,000 barn or $250,000 barn built there that you can't do anything with. I mean, it's like, well, I can park equipment in it, or I could do that, but it's not like you can sell it and recoup some of your expenses, And that's another option that we're kind of exploring. Is there's a couple of little 10-acre places right here around us.
And just because they're little does not mean they come with a little price tag.
They're way overpriced, but in the same token, if you bought one of those and put something on it, it's not right here at our house. It's not right next to our neighbors. And if it didn't work, you could always just sell it and probably recoup your money, or maybe even make some money on the sale of the land. So let me know in the comments what you would do. What are your thoughts on it? Good enough?
No, I just think about when we look back at this video in a year. Yeah,
in a year we'll probably be like, well, we're building a monoslope barn now because the feedlot did so well that we need to be able to bump it up. I mean, my end goal is, like I told Erika the other day, I said, I wanted to sell 20 this first year when we sold 44. My goal for next year is to sell 80 to 100, 10 a month is what I'd like to do, which we're not going to get there because we don't have the
infrastructure.
We don't have the infrastructure, and we don't have the cattle in line right now. We're buying all these steers from locally, sourcing them from guys that we know their breeding programs, and having those 10 head every month, it's easy to buy 120 head of steers in one lick, but trying to get 10 that are pretty uniform, that have been bred right and taken care of right every month, that's a little bit of a tougher straw. So that's what we're trying to do, is to get that set up, But if I could get another set of pens built in the next 30 to 60 days, Well, we could probably put 40 in there instead of 20 when the others are going to come out here in the middle of May. We could put, 20 or 40 in there. And if we did 40 the first round and then started adding to that, well, that'd make a big difference the next year. So, all right. Well, we're going to go look around a little bit more. Thank y'all for joining us. Be sure you hit the old like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Pray for us. Pray for us on our new ventures here. And Erika's, it's not something we took lightly, her. I don't want to say getting fired, but it was basically like a forced resignation. It was kind of one of those, just, hey, you're either going to do it this way or you just ain't going to do it. And we just chose to not do it. So pray for our family on that aspect, and we'll be praying for y'all, and y'all keep ranching. And praying. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay.
I was just going to say that we feel peaceful about it, and God's going to take care of us.
Yeah,
it's going to be different, but it's going to be fun. So.
We may not get to be building no pickups for a while, or no trucks,
or going iguana hunting.
Yeah, some of the fun stuff we've been doing, and not that
there will be sacrifices.
There will be some sacrifices. But we might not be ordering new boots near as often.
We aren't going to starve.
We're not going to what?
Starve.
No, we're not going to starve. We can always feed a calf. That's pretty cheap, and we can always. The good Lord's going to provide. He's going to take care of us, and we prayed about it, and we feel at ease with it, and it's going to be awesome. And who knows, our content may just get way better.
I hope so.
Now that Erika's not doing another 40-hour-a-week job. So.
All right, see y'all later.